Hello guys, it's Peter from PS Sound, and in this video we are going to show you this beautiful V-Class van. I don't even know what to call it. Probably the title will be called something like Sound Quality Party Van, because yeah, it feels a bit like that. The brief was to build a beautiful sounding system in it and still keep it practical, because all that has to go back, and that's just a part of the luggages normally this van carries, because it happens to be a private taxi, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's a private taxi. The owner is here with me. It's about to...
Shuttle service.
Shuttle service, that's the one. The most luxurious shuttle service you can ever get. So let's just quickly go through what we've done in this van. I will have to insert pictures as well, because a lot cannot be seen now. Like, look at that. This is the most exciting subwoofer installation we've ever done, I think. It looks so sexy, right? So here we have two Helix Q12s. So the equipment was given and we had to fit everything and keep it practical too. So these enclosures now on daily use are facing forward. Yes, acoustically they perform very differently than if they were facing backwards. But we wanted to make sure that the subwoofers are protected, because a lot of luggages will be thrown in and out of this van. Sometimes there's even like a bend coming and then things have to shift. These subs can shift, move, anything. But they were designed to slot in nicely underneath the seats there. There's a line in the seat there, so the subs go underneath them. And then they are as wide as the boot, so they cannot slide, they can't go anywhere. But it's easy to take them out. We have XD connectors on the side. There you go, nice and easy, so they can be disconnected safely and then they can move. If there's need for more space, then even one subwoofer is pretty good and enough for the van, but we already had two subs running off a Zapco monoblock. Then that way, yeah, there's more dynamic headroom and it's a bit more like a party van if output is required. Let's just show this as well. That turns that way. So that's where we have the amplification. I will have to insert a picture so you can see how much gear we have in here, because you only see just a fraction of the top Zapco 1100.1 that runs the subs, and there's a Helix V12 running all the components in the car. And I'm going to explain how we configured that amplifier to run all the speakers. Yes, many of you might have seen that for daily systems we use many DSP amplifiers, Zapco Stag, Helix, a lot of that. And it's quite funny. It's quite funny that you didn't have the amplifier first, did you? You were asking me what to get for the components. But we were conscious that this is a daily van and it's used for work. So there's only so much you can put in it and hide. Because that's the thing, we could have many big amplifiers, but where would you put them? Because there's no space underneath the seats anywhere. You don't want to mount them on the roof. It's too much hard work. You don't want to customize the van. So you want to make sure that everything is installed in a way that it keeps the van practical. And then it's almost given that these days we wouldn't suggest anything else to anyone else than to have a good quality DSP amplifier. It saves on space, it saves on cost of installation, it saves on everything, because everything is built into it. You don't need RCA cables, you don't need power distribution for, you know, multiple amplifiers. This car would have needed, so we have 6-channel for the front freeway, then we have 2 speakers at the sliding doors and 2 speakers at the back row. So we would need 10 channels of amplification minimum, and we have the front sub as well, which is a dual voice call front sub underneath the seat. So you would need many amplifiers to fit, and then they need room, they need space, they need more wiring, and it's also more pieces of equipment which can give you potentially more headache when it comes to reliability. If anything goes wrong, then you know you have multiple items to think about. So these days usually we just fit a DSP amp and a monoblock for the sub, and they work way better than many people think, because in this car that V12 could be considered as not good enough for some of the speakers that we have, right? Because you were lucky to find those Focal Utopia speakers for the front. Everything that's fitted in this van was brought to us, and I wasn't against fitting them because they are great speakers. especially when you find them secondhand, then yeah, it's a no-brainer. So here we go, let's start it. Mid base, factory location in the doors. That was a bit of a pain because in most vans, like in transporters, transit vans, whatnot, you have easier access to the inside of the door. In this one, you have an inner skin that's riveted on. So you have to drill all the rivets out. And then once you do that, then you have to, well, either rivet it back, but then it's not serviceable. So we fitted rib nuts all around the door, and we bolted the inner skin on. But the inner skin doesn't come off. You can't disconnect all the cables and everything. And we had to hold the inner skin kind of in the air. One person had to hold it while the other was working on the outer skin. So we have deadening on the outer skin, we have absorber on the outer skin to minimize the rattle and the road noise. And then we have treatment on the inner skin as well as on the door card. The door card had deadening as well as absorber fitted on it. So we tried to minimize the rattles caused by the mid base as much as possible. And yeah, that was quite something. It's standard practice, but on this car it just takes a bit longer because of all the faff that it requires to take the door and the inner skin apart. So we fitted the 4K Utopia 6-inch mid base drivers in the doors, and then we have the Utopia mid-range, the 3.5 WM, with the Utopia beryllium tweeter on the pillar. There you go, someone likes touching it, and then you see the fingerprints straight away. Yeah, that's going to be a good game for you. Everyone will be touching the pillars, yeah. And then you will have to keep a whip or something, just hit people. Don't do that. Or you have to keep a cloth or something to wipe the pillars, because yeah, as soon as you have many fingerprints all over it, then yeah, it doesn't look that pretty. Well, not to me. I like to keep it nice and clean. The pillars are trimmed with a material called Milano. We get many questions about it. There you go. Then I may talk about it now. It's a suede material that's called Milano. I don't think it's available in other countries, or you may find it under a different name. But in UK you can find it from AS, Alpha September, AS trim.co.uk, and it's pretty good to work with. It's a very stretchy material, and then if you have a shape like this for mid and tweeter, then it's certainly not easy to trim with. Even some people may struggle with it without experience. It's not simple to trim over two shapes, especially when the speakers are pretty on axis. We kept both sides pretty on axis to both sides of the front seats because we wanted to create an environment where it's more optimal for both front seats, as well as the speakers play more into the back of the van. We have speakers at the back, but we wanted to make sure that we get as much feel towards the back as possible, because yeah, it's a long space. So this is what we came up with. We had 3D printed mounting for the tweeters and the mid-range, printed from ABS. This way we can keep really thin bezels and make it very accurate. We also didn't bond the factory mounting in. We kept it for the tweeter because many people do that, many shops do that, but then if you change the car, then yeah, you can't take that mounting with you anymore. And mounting these tweeters is quite tricky. So it's good to keep that mounting. So instead we 3D printed like a little cup shaped the same as the original steel mounting. So that steel mounting can bolt onto the one we printed, and then this way, yeah, it was easier to trim it and it was easier to keep the factory mounting intact, and then we can move it to the next car in the future, because this is a work van and you change them how often? Every 3 years probably?
Yeah,
4 years. Yeah, because you get to the point that you have plenty of mileage in it. Some people could have a van like this for 15 years, but you use it for work. And you probably, yeah, in 4 years you will get to what, 500,000 kilometers?
Yes.
Easily, which is like a good 300k miles. So that's the front end with a 8-inch bass driver underneath the seat coming from factory. That's a small ported enclosure. We kept it. That driver for most people look like it's just a cheap, shitty factory driver, but to the time you amplify it and you tune it, and we added deadening to that plastic box as well. Actually it performs pretty well, and it fills the gap between integrating the mid bass in a rather flimsy environment, because we didn't have the chance and the budget and the time to build enclosures for the mid bass or do kick builds. Then the front sub in an enclosure definitely helps to give more kick up front, and we knew that you wanted kick anyway, because you like nice and punchy bass response. So the source, if we are here at the front, we kept the factory head unit on speaker levels, because doing most integration in this latest platform is not that simple. Not many manufacturers, well, only Mobridge has potentially now a integration option for the latest Mercedes platform. Wherever you see that touchpad, get ready that it won't be easy to find integration. So we kept it on speaker level. We use the front and rear speaker levels so we can still adjust the fader if it's needed. But to be fair, listening to the quality difference between the head unit and the hack Bluetooth module that we used, the HD Bluetooth module we used in the Helix DSP, is day and night. Once you stream data from your device and you have lossless music on your device, then it sounds just as good as any wired coax or any wired connection really. And then if you compare it to the factory head unit, it's a no-brainer. The factory head unit is only good for speaker levels really, for radio and phone calls, nothing else. There you go. You're coming to the back. Look at these seats. Oh man. Yeah, it's probably like in an S-Class. Proper seats. Proper beautiful seats. So for the second row, we have speakers in the sliding doors over there. And then we also have another set of speakers over there. We upgraded to the Stag. It's pretty cheap. Coax, yeah. Coax speakers. They definitely help to feel the mid-range and the high frequency range at the back, because without that you wouldn't hear much from the front at all, and you would hear a lot of bass. So this way we have great coverage throughout the whole car. It's all been set up properly. We had a proper RTA session on the whole car, on all the speakers. Every single speaker was measured with an RTA, and the response from the drivers is optimized. So all the peaks are reduced. And well, if you want to see what we do when it comes to tuning, check out the tuning playlist. I have a couple of videos over there. You can get an idea about the whole process of what it takes to tune a system like this. So yeah, this is what we've done with the V12. So 6 channels run the front freeway, then channel 7-8 runs the sliding doors, 7-8, 9-10 runs the speakers at the back row, and then 11-12 runs the front sub, because it's a dual voice core sub, and it gives plenty of power for the front sub as well. Yeah, most people think that it's not good from the factory because it's just a factory driver, but the factory amplifier is so poor, it doesn't do much. But as soon as you have clean power, proper power, actually even that factory driver comes alive and it plays just perfectly fine. Because actually, if anything, that is designed for that application. So yeah, here we are. Nice little work van. Nothing fancy looking other than the pillars. The pillars look pretty, don't they? Yeah, we certainly like the outcome of the pillars. And the overall project. When you jump on a project like this, you don't quite know how long it's going to take, because there are so many things that need to be taken out and putting back, way more than in a small car. Yeah, putting your seats back was quite something.
Yes.
You said that you did that on your own before.
Yes.
I don't know how. That was a nightmare for you probably.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't enjoy putting them back. We even had it between two of us. It's not so plug and play. But to be fair, how often do people take the seats out of a van?
Never.
Well, sometimes you would take probably the rear row out, but not the middle seats, because then you get a lot of space at the back. But yeah, here we are. If you want to see the daily updates of this project, if you want to see what went into it, then please check out the link in description. Then you can see our Patreon channel where we had daily updates showing every single day's process and progress. Then over there you will see way more about it. I'm also planning to share an RTA evaluation video of this system. Then you will see how the speakers measure, how everything got integrated, what works and what doesn't work in the WAN. You will get a better idea about what it really takes to get many speakers played together and create a nice system. So this is it for this one, guys. Nice and short. Check out the description as I mentioned. Feel free to share it, comment, all the usual things, and then we will see you in the next one. Take care.